My name is Eyal Gutkind, and I'm going to talk about how to optimize data center communication. All right, that's me. Myself and my team are responsible for probably the first engagement with customers, so that's what we do on a daily basis, and help you guys come up and running with Scylla as soon as possible. So what's inter-data center communication is? As most of you know, it's typically communication between one data center to the other. So anything that you send from over the pond information will be charged to your account. So anything that is egress part is going to be charged. Ingress typically is not charged. This is on most cloud providers. So every time you send a packet out of your data center, is something that people are going to charge you for. However, some cloud providers also charge you money for intra cluster communication. So if you have something on the same West 2A and West 2B, you'll be charged for the egress part as well. So when you put your Scylla nodes on a certain VPC, you must make sure that either if you don't want to pay for the money, put them all together in the same VPC, or if you want to get more of the resiliency part, be aware of the charges you're going to get from Mr. Bezos. Some cloud providers, and Mr. Brin as well. Snitches, key spaces, and client driver settings. Time after time, we go into an engagement, we talk with customers, and we find out that most of them will start in a POC mode. POC mode, let me have 3 nodes, start everything fast, quick and dirty. What they forget to set up in many cases is the snitches correctly. So they end up with a simple snitch in their data center. It means that the snitch, or Scylla, does not recognize anything about the network. And there is no information from Scylla perspective to distribute correctly the replicas. So we ask you, you start a POC and you know it's going to migrate to production sometime maybe in the future. Please start with a production-worthy snitch. It's going to help everybody much more than starting very, very simple. What's going to happen is if you use simple strategy on your creating key space, and this is something that we've seen as well, is miscommunication between the operational part and the developer part. So operational brings up a new cluster, everybody is happy, and then developers start to create key space and tables. What they will do, they will go to Google, find the fastest way to create a key space and put it into their data model. And what's going to happen is going to use simple strategy. It means that Scylla will distribute the replications clockwise on every data center without taking any advantage of the multi-data center. So every time a coordinator node in the USA region will send information, let's say for a 7 nodes replica, it will send also 2 packets over the wire to the Japanese cluster. It means you're going to be charged twice for that data for no good reason. Again, the dissonance and disconnection between the operational team and the development team. Here, a good communication happened. So people have communicated correctly and provided network topology to their key space. So replicas are being created correctly in each one of those data centers. And a coordinator node on the USA one will send one request, tag this replica to the far data center, creating the communication internally in those data centers much more cheaper than over the pond. Other thing we find is that you put your clients out and let them run freely. Do not set the driver correctly. What happens is that once you put your drivers correctly, you save a lot of money. Because those round-robin balancing policies will try to find the nearest client. If from some reason that nearest client is, I don't know, on a far end, you will pay for that egress transmit. So we ask you, make sure that the balancing is correctly pointing to the right data center. Only and if only that data center does not respond, then you will go to the far one. So be local. Other thing is consistency. Again, easy to use, starting as a new developer, put quorum to everything, you feel very safe, but you also pay for it. Quorum will, again, disregard anything about the policy of the network and will send information, again, across the wire without thinking why it should be there. One thing that we have seen again and again is also, do you actually need to replicate all the data all around the world? It gives you safety nets, but it's typically not something that you want to use. Maybe just an aggregation table will do that trick for you as well. So to summary, snitches, key spaces creations, and driver creations will help you save a lot of money on your network cost every month. There is another trick that is hidden deep in the YAML file. Please use compression between data centers. There's a small flag. All you have to set up is internode compression DC. If you need, you can actually have internode compression across all nodes. It's possible to do that as well. However, there is some cost in terms of the performance, very slight one, because compression also consumes CPUs. To summarize, as expected, you always pay. So whatever you do, you're going to be charged for it. Create key space correctly, put the drivers correctly, and use tables in an efficient manner. Review your client geolocations and where the data is actually accessing the right patterns. Who is writing? That's very cheap, so Ingress is typically cheap. Who is reading is actually the one that you have to check who is actually reading data from your tables, and that's very costly. And the last one, enable compression. It's so easy, just one flag in your YAML file. Thank you very much.